Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Sea podcast. Welcome back to a solo show on my end after the chaos that was last episode, for which you really need to appreciate the work that Gav puts into this show when he's needed. Because trust me, you wouldn't have seen that last episode if Gav wasn't here, because my connection fixed hours after. At least I found a way. So hopefully we have everything fixed up, everything well, everything nice to have a big chat in regards to everything that went on yesterday and the many of the transfer fronts that occupy the attention of Olympiacos right now. First of all, for those of you that are new, especially the incredible fan base for which I once again want to thank of Armando Gonzalez. Welcome once again in a more calmer state on my end. Welcome. We appreciate you. I have had the pleasure and the honor to talk with a lot of you. So thank you for all the love. It's an honor to represent Olympiacos and introduce you all to Olympiacos, and with the latest bit of content being the TikTok of Armando, I am just the happiest to give you all as much content as possible. Now, I may not be in my usual setup for like 3 more shows, but upgrades are clear. You can finally see me in my natural color, given I have a light behind the camera. And finally, you can more than likely hear me well, given the microphone. The microphone, which I hope isn't too loud. We'll test everything. We will make sure everything runs fine. And I just wanted to give you all my appreciation for sticking by the show this past month, sticking by the show with all the issues we have had given the makeshift setup we had to make and change of rooms. And we'll be back to normal from next week, next Wednesday, and we won't have to worry about a thing again. So for now, and with all the absolute chaos that is going on currently, let's jump into the game. Of course, the road to the 49th, as I said, in the Super League season has begun, and Olympiacos, thankfully indeed, it was a big oof in the 90th, have gotten the 3 points in the bag. The Super League this season looks unpredictable, to say the least. Olympiacos looked to be in quite a bad way after the knockout against Nijmegen. But after the meeting of Jose Luis Mendilibar and Vangelis Marinakis, everything seems to have taken a 180. Olympiacos is bringing in the best players possible. Olympiacos is working hard around the clock to strengthen the team, to give Mendilibar all the support that he deserves. He names to reach this goal, first of all, which is the road to the 49th. Now, a lot of teams are in a state of unpredictability. We are heading into a season where we desperately want to reclaim what's ours. We're heading into that season with a team that's getting reworked, revamped. A lot of people are going, a lot of people are coming. And the first thing that I want to point out about yesterday's game is the matter of fact that we saw something different. It's a good first few steps to think that given Olympiacos went into the Atromitos game with something to prove, we finally, after a while, played proper football. Yes, our midfield performed quite underwhelmingly, but we'll get into that. But we didn't see the millions of crosses and the ball just bounced between keeper and striker or keeper and winger and then striker. We utilized everyone. We utilized everyone as well as we should have. But yeah, this is an issue. How many chances did we need to score? The only thing that hasn't changed yet, but I'm sure that it will, is the fact that Olympiacos seems to not be that effective in front of goal. Still, as quite off form, Ayub El-Kabi missed a couple of chances. Zelson missed a couple of chances. But to be totally fair, to play devil's advocate, we are looking at a once in a lifetime performance by the Atromitos keeper and former red and white Lefteris Koutasiotis. Given the man earned a 10 rating, a clear 10, while he conceded a goal, which again, I talked about this quite a bit off the air. I'm sure it hasn't happened before. I am willing to bet money that no keeper that hasn't earned a clean sheet has earned a clear 10-star rating before. I am super certain in that regard. So there is that to keep in mind, but there are certainly a lot of things to point out in regards to our effectiveness. But to get into the game in more detail and to prove the point of the comment, you all know that I really don't pay that much attention to the XGs, but because yesterday it mattered, Olympiacos held 69% of the possession. Olympiacos had 3.17 expected goals in the game, scored one, by the way, and that one, I think, was one of, if not the most likely to miss out of all the shots. We had 26 total shots to Atromitos' 8 and 52 touches in the opposition box, which is honestly unbelievable. And yes, exactly to prove my point, I found it. The expected goal meter of the goal that David Carmo scored was 0.05. To put that in perspective, I'm not going to count the penalty, of course, but I am going to look for a specific chance that was missed of Ayub El-Kabi. And as I'm scrolling through the chances of the game, along with a chance of Zelson Martins and a chance of Sa, this one was the most likely chance to miss, to not go in, which is unfathomable given what happened. Our big chances were 8. We had 8 big chances, scored 1. We were quite good in accurate passes. We played, to the point I brought up before, we played quite organized build-up football. We had 438 accurate passes, 85%. We had, of course, 14 corners. We had 10 shots on target. Some were easily saved, some weren't. We had 22 shots inside the box. We had 23 accurate long balls and just the relatively small amount of 9 crosses. Olympiacos had 9 crosses. Mind you, last season, in a game, for those of you that do not know, especially our Mexican friends, last season, Olympiacos had a game where the cross counter rose up to 51. Not long balls, not accurate passes in general, crosses. In one game, Olympiacos last season had 51 crosses. Before I get into the comment about Carmo and the rest of the comments, I do want to say that it is very important that the meeting did bring up what the meeting said it would bring up. And what's that? That is the fact that both sides in Jose Luis Mendilibar and Vangelis Marinakis recognized their mistakes. Mendy is playing different football. We saw a way more fitting starting 11. We saw perfect substitutions. We'll get into the starting 11 and stuff. And as I said, we saw different. I banged the mic. I'm so sorry. We saw different football. We saw different planning. We saw that plan B we were talking about, which is perfect. It's exactly what needed to happen. And on the other hand, Vangelis Marinakis is doing everything to make sure that this turns from one of our most disappointing outings in the summer and one of our most lackluster transfer windows into one of our most successful under him. The stuff that already has been happening is more than satisfying to show that what is to follow in the final week of transfers is going to be perfect. There is a lot of names going around. There is a lot of talk around certain players, re-evaluations and stuff. But aside from that, everything seems to be working like a well-oiled machine. And that showed on the field yesterday as well. And what I do want to point out first in regards to the game before getting into the starting 11 is this comment. Carmo is a true leader. Carmo was my MVP yesterday personally because of his amazing stats, because of his incredibly insane goal. But it wasn't just that. What Carmo did after the goal, in my opinion, was more important than the goal itself. What Carmo did after the goal, in my opinion, was even more important than the 3 points that got here. And that was the fact that he ran straight to El Khabi. He went to point at him. He looked at the fans and he told the fans to support him and to clap him on. What El Khabi did, what El Khabi has done for this club is nothing less than legendary. Ayoub El Khabi is an Olympiacos hero. He's not an Olympiacos legend, he's an Olympiacos hero. Ayoub El Khabi scored the most important goal in this club's history. Ayoub El Khabi scored countless goals, having been crowned top scorer not only many a time in the Super League, but both in that Conference League and in the Europa League last year, where he was joint top scorer despite us going out so early. And Ayoub El Khabi is simply one of, if not our best striker ever. It's as simple as that. And even if Ayoub El Khabi is going through quite a dry patch, even if Ayoub El Khabi is having a bad run of form, this is where our unconditional support matters most. Because did El Khabi have one of his worst Olympiacos games yesterday? Yes. Has El Khabi been the killer that we know him to be ever since he came back from that Copa Africa, that insane Copa Africa? No. But has he had the right competition behind him? Has he had the right people to push him on to be his best self? Also no. Right? We are talking about a man that has the goal scoring ability of a god. We are talking about a man that has the poaching ability of a ninja. You never expect where he will end up. But up to now, he hasn't really had anyone to push him. That's why Hormiga was so necessary. That's why Hormiga was the perfect addition to this club, and that's why he will push El Khabi to find his best self. That's exactly why we will see the El Khabi we know and love very soon. And in return, El Khabi will push Armando Gonzalez to be his best self. And that's why I think Hormiga will adapt very quickly. That's why I think he will get good game time quickly. Hell, I'd even start him against Tripoli if he's ready. There's nothing to lose, but he definitely will make his debut against Asteras, that's for sure. Tripoli is a weird place to debut, but I believe it. And from Tripoli onwards, we will see two strikers, perhaps even a mentor and a prodigy, pushing each other to be their best selves. And we will see two strikers that will do everything possible to lead this team to the historic season it deserves to have. And the message to El Khabi is indeed this one. Everyone from the Olympiacos fan base, all the true Olympiacos fans are behind Ayub El-Kabi. All the true Olympiacos fans are and will always be behind Ayub El-Kabi. And the least we can do for all this man has given us throughout his unbelievable years in this club is cheer him on and remind him that there is still much, much more history to be made. But yeah, the people that booed El-Kabi are just, they're not Olympiacos fans. Like, come on. How can you? Again, I'll go back to the rant I always go to. Criticism is necessary. Criticism is accepted and no one's above it. But you can't take that line too far because then you're ungrateful. And you're ungrateful to the best of the best we had. And that never needs to be happening here. Never ever. That immortal 11 of 2024 is the immortal 11 of 2024. They will live as legends and they all have written their name with golden letters in our history. And right on top of that list, under Coach Mendy, is El-Kabi. Because the man scored and the man has not stopped scoring since. So a bad run of form of 3 months doesn't change anything in regards to El-Kabi. And I do believe that Armando will push him as he needed for this past few months, not just weeks or games. I do wholeheartedly believe that. To go on to the rest of the lineup, though, because I do have quite a few things to say. The lineup, of course, was the debuting Stefan Ortega under the sticks. Then we had Bruno Onyemaechi down the left. Then we had Pirola and Smilovic at centre back. Then we had the man who got red carded, Rodinei, at right back. Then we had Musa and Ese at the centre midfield positions. Then the 3 behind Ayub El-Kabi were Zelson Martins, Gustavo Sa, and Kostas Fortounis. And then, of course, at the striker position, we had Ayub El-Kabi. Now, before I get into the substitutions, because those were the ones that changed the game, I do want to talk about general performances for a start. Stefan Ortega, I really like. I had high expectations in regards to the German goalkeeper, and he massively met them. He had to make a save. He faced 0.6 expected goals, which of course was his immediate prevented. He had an accuracy of 78% in passes and an accuracy of 30% in long balls. And especially in the passing department, that's one of the biggest positives that was promised in regards to Stefan Ortega. And God knows that he delivered. God knows that he indeed delivered. He had 2 successful acts as a sweeper keeper. He had 3 throws, 1 successful high claim, 10 recoveries, 1 clearance, and 38 touches to his name. Now, to talk a bit about Bruno Onyemaechi. We know that Bruno is indeed on his way out. There is interest from Turkey in regards to Bruno. There is interest from other leagues as well, but repeating interest is indeed from Turkey. And I do personally expect him to go in the next few days. And does that mean that Bruno is a horrible left back? Absolutely no, it doesn't. But as I've said before many times, Bruno Niemaichi is not the left back that Olympiacos needs by nature. Because again, we are talking about a freak athlete. We are talking about a good defender, but the man is nullified in the attack. And that's not what Olympiacos needs. Which is okay. It's fine. I'm sure he'll do quite well in Turkey, but Olympiacos needs something better. And perhaps that something better may very well be a man of our own already. Because if you all remember, just a few days ago, Nikos Athanasiou included in his post-game comments that his ultimate goal is to solidify himself and play at Olympiacos because that's his dream and that's where he belongs. And it seems like this indeed somehow may become a reality. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully. I was one of the first ones that preached in regards to the necessity of having someone like Nikos Athanasiou as a backup left back, because the man is basically a ready starter. Especially in the Super League, this man can start any game and you wouldn't see the difference. You need someone like that. He's one of us. He's Greek and he's a war dog. He's a hound of a player. So you definitely need him. And again, I'm really hoping that you will have the chance to see him, that we will have the chance to see him play for Olympiacos. Why not even this season? The centre-back partnership of Pirola and Smailovic was okay. Nothing too insane. Pirola perhaps not that much up to his standards. Made a few mistakes here and there, but even in the mediocre nights of Lorenzo Pirola, he still is one of the better defenders we've ever seen. Smailovic, in his Super League debut, felt flawless. He was amazing, and he still is very well in the race for surprise of the season in regards to our signings. And now Roddy. I went into the game saying that Rodinei would be perhaps an ideal usage as a right back in this game. But nope. Nope, proved me wrong very quickly. But that's not the thing about Rodinei. That's not what I want to talk about. It's the just pure unnecessary loss of temper. And Roddy has done that many times before. And this time it's cost him. You're supposed to be a leader, a veteran. And you just lose it in the 90th minute and get sent off. For what? Exactly. The team's winning. And it wasn't the fact that he got sent off purely because of a tackle. He started a fight for no reason at all. It's just unnecessary. It puts the team in unnecessary danger. And now, not that I would love for Tzolakis to start at Tripoli either way. But in my opinion, at the very least, this isn't how a veteran should act. And perhaps Rodi is one of the players to be reevaluated. I love the guy. He's a legend. But with, hopefully, knock on wood, Joaquim Mele coming in, and again, hopefully, knock on wood, 1 or 2 wingers coming in. Perhaps Rodi himself wouldn't want to stick back as a 4th, 5th choice multi-usage player. So I honestly wouldn't be shocked to see an offer coming from Rodi, perhaps from his home country, even though now Greece looks like his home, but his original home country in Brazil. But even if he stays, Rodi needs to be that multi-usage player coming off the bench. That's how things should be right now. Nothing less, nothing more. He is a perfect usage from the bench. He is a locker room leader. He has great relationships with a majority of the players. So I would love to keep him. But if he is of the opinion as well that he'd rather go rather than not be a starter, that's what needs to happen for the best of both parties, honestly. And that's what would benefit everyone the most. If he himself, again, doesn't want to stay at Olympiacos. The midfield of Christos Mouzakidis and Santiago Esse looked okay. Both players have set better standards for themselves, but it did look okay. Both players need to improve. Perhaps Santi Esse is one of the players that's on the way out, and that would just suck, given that we are talking about one of our best players. But if the player wants to move on to what he would consider bigger and better, as names like Juventus, names like Marseille, names like Villarreal, names like Fiorentina, Sporting, Stuttgart, and then so on and so forth, half of Europe basically has inquired about Santi Esse. After all he's given us, you can't be mad at the guy if he wants to go, but you need to replace him, and why not improve on him? And Christos Mouzakidis is someone that isn't living up to his standards. We are talking about genuinely one of the most talented Greek kids in the midfield right now, and in general, and he's not living up to his standards. Again, I'm not gonna go out and maul Christos Mouzakidis as a player because he doesn't deserve that. But I am gonna say that he isn't doing himself justice right now, and I'm sure he'll grow into the season much, much better, and we'll see the true version of Christos Mouzakidis. Now, what we need to point out, what we need to talk about is the 3 behind the striker, because there is very divisive opinions. Of course, the 3 behind the striker were Gelson Martins, Gustavo Sa, and Kostas Fortounis. I want to start with a simpler one. Kostas Fortounis, perfect game. Nowhere near what we saw against Nijmegen. This man was it and will always be a cheat code for Greek football. He can break down defenses perfectly. We're finally seeing good free kicks again after years. And this man is just the cream of the crop, honestly. I'm so happy seeing him start again, and especially in Greece, there's no reason, apart from injuries, that this man should be out of the starting 11. Europe's a whole different trope, which we'll get into when the time comes. Gustavo Sa is someone that I really liked. Gustavo Sa is someone that is showing great promise. My only real quote unquote again complaint in regards to Gustavo Sa is that unlike Fortunis, he waited for the game to come to him rather than chasing the game, which is something he needs to work on. But other than that, this man is great positionally. He's creating chances. His vision and passing ability is unmatched, and he has a lot to show and give to this club for sure. Zelson had a good game. He looked very hungry, but he honestly looked like Zelson, like we know Zelson, the good Zelson. And then there was Ayub El Kabi, who, as we said, had sadly one of his worst games in a red and white shirt, missing good chances, having a lot of expected goals, and missing that penalty as well, that the choice of Panenka late on. He needs the support. He doesn't need to be booed. He needs the support. And as I analyzed earlier, we will see the good old Ayub once again. I'm more than certain. And now, the applause, the main applause, apart from the change in football, the plan B that I want to give to Mendy, is the subs. Perfect usage. First of all, 3 people coming in at the 57th minute in David Carmo, Nair Tiknisian, and Lolo Scipioni. Then Joel Roca came in, and then afterwards Jota Silva came in. First things first, Nair Tiknisian looks like such a good footballer. Consider the first impressions perfect. We haven't seen a left back ask for the ball this much and be so perfectly moving up and down the field since Tsimikas. Last show, Gav made the comparison, and I will double down on it. This man is a monster, and he changed that entire left side, especially after the 67th minute, where Joel Roca came in, and that left hand side looked godly. Joel Roca is one of the truest wingers we've seen lately. He still needs a lot of work, but he has a lot of potential. He's very energetic. He's very active. And him and Nair Tiknisian genuinely, in my opinion, changed the whole game. Lolo looks better and better. Lolo Scipioni looks better and better. And currently, I think he's making a case for himself. I genuinely think he's making a case for himself to get a regular time, to have an important role in this team. But if the transfers do come in, which we'll talk about in a bit, I wouldn't be that mad with Lolo Scipioni going out on loan, perhaps to a Europa or Conference League team, being a starter, and then coming back and just solidifying himself as an Olympiacos starter. It's a win-win scenario, whether he stays and already solidifies himself or goes on loan and gets a regular season of game time and comes back a beast. I do want your opinion in the comments, especially if you're watching after. Would you want to keep Lolo Scipioni, or would you want him to go out on loan? Selling him is a non-negotiable, in my opinion. You don't sell Lorenzo Scipioni right now. Jota Silva, again, such a good footballer. A man that can cover so many positions, do it so effectively, and play absolutely everywhere. Everywhere. And that's the best thing about him. He can play everywhere so naturally. And it's something that's not only going to help throughout the season, it's something that's going to help the team so much in general, especially in the European list. You just get saved with a player like that. And to finish off before I get into some comments, David Carmo. David Carmo of old, David Carmo of the first tenure here. He knows where he's at, he's here to stay, and he's here to prove himself. And that's all we could have asked for from a player like David Carmo, because this man can genuinely just solidify himself even more as one of the best centre backs we've ever seen. And I'm sorry, the goal scoring ability of David Carmo hasn't been possessed by a lot of Olympiacos players on the attack that we've seen. This man can score. He roofed that ball. That was unsavable from David Carmo. Now, to get into some comments that I've missed, Tikrisyan was indeed cooking yesterday. Just changed the game. I'll get into the transfers in a bit. I'm on the road and I'm watching your show. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you all. Whenever and wherever you're watching again, the fact that you've kept up with me, especially in the past month where I've not been home, not in my regular setup, doing all of this without Wi-Fi, is the best thing I could have asked for, and you all are indeed the best community. That's non-negotiable. I didn't like how we couldn't have a better conversion rate. Something felt like it didn't click against Atromitos. I'll tell you what didn't click against Atromitos. The fact that the team's still being built. On opening nights, all that matters is the +3. We had a lot of debuting players in the Super League. We had a lot of new faces. We'll have even more new faces in the coming week, because I don't expect anything insane to happen after the European list. And the team will gel. Don't forget that at the end of September, we have a big national team break, which will be a perfect opportunity for this team to just fully glue together. Okay? We'll score more and more. What matters now is that we got the +3. Nothing more and nothing less. And we did have a lot of positives to keep from this game. We truly, really did. And now, to move on from the game and to go to some transfers. You all keep leaving your comments, you all keep leaving your questions. On the insane fronts that Olympiacos has, on the ins and the outs, and I have already seen a comment I want to talk about. What is going on with Ruben Vargas and the case of Joaquim Mele? I will start with a 29-year-old Danish international fullback that can play on both sides. I did want to give a small analysis last show, but as you all have seen, my connection didn't let me. So I will now. I hope everything's running smoothly, by the way. I'm trying to keep the best. I'm trying to keep just the best eye out that I can for any problems we may have. Do let me know if everything's running smoothly up to now in the first 45 minutes. And ladies and gents, this is going to be a long one. So strap in, because we still have so much to talk about. But as I wanted to say last show, Joaquim Mele He's a 29-year-old, of course, Danish international fullback, currently playing for the relegated Wolfsburg. The man that can play on both ends. So if this man comes in, which in my opinion he's a necessity, solely as a starting right back, if we don't get a backup left back, I won't be that mad, even though I would still love Athanasiou to come back. We are talking about a modern football. Holy mess up. Okay, let me retry that. We are talking about a modern fullback, full of energy and an absolutely attacking outlet that also has the ability and the hard work and the talent to slot back into a very, very disciplined defender, depending on what the team needs, depending on what the game needs. He was unlucky last season due to his shoulder injury. He missed quite a few games, only played 18 games for Wolfsburg, scoring 1 and assisting 2, with a pass completion rate of 85. The previous season, he had 28 games for Wolfsburg, scoring 3, assisting 4, with a pass rate of 88. And the season of 23-24, he had 30 games with Wolfsburg, scoring 2, assisting 3. He has had an incredible career with Denmark, and a focal point of that career is the Euro 2020, where he had 6 matches, 2 goals, that insane outside of the boot assist, and 91% passing accuracy, one of his best just tournaments ever, both club and country. His defensive metrics in the 25-26 season were the fact that he recorded 44 clearances, 8 interceptions, 13 successful tackles in just 18 matches in the Bundesliga, nonetheless. The positives that I would argue he has are elite versatility. This is a natural right-footed player, but he can so easily play left back, right back, or an advanced wing back on either side if needed. This man has a non-stop motor. As we say in Greece, he has 5 lungs. He is consistently logging a high volume of sprints, and the example that I have noted down is the fact that he has recorded 43 sprints in a 3-game span. I will repeat that for those of you that didn't catch it. This man has recorded 43 sprints in a 3-game span. An insane distance cover, of course. Unlike traditional fullbacks, he is an aerial threat during set pieces, which with the players we have is such a plus, and he can both overcut and he can both overlap and cut inside equally effectively. Incredible distribution, hovering, as I mentioned already, between 81 and 91%. The only really negative that I would point out in regards to Mele, for what I have seen at least, is the turnover rates when under heavy press. He around has a lost ball rate of roughly like 22% per game. It's nothing that really concerns Olympiacos, but it is a fact to be mentioned. And honestly, in my eyes, as a Mendilibar player, he is the ideal choice to come in and start. He's the ideal choice to come in and start. And in regards to Ruben Vargas, the man that is for sale at Sevilla and the man that seemingly has the best offer come from Olympiacos, We are talking about a very well-known 28-year-old winger and attacking midfielder. He is on the verge of coming to Olympiacos. As things stand, nothing has really changed in regards to those rumors. He was absent from training. He wasn't a part in the Sevilla side that played a few days ago. And honestly, again, in my opinion, his only negative is the injuries. Apart from that, we are talking about a perfect winger to start. We are talking about a perfect winger to start. I would honestly be very happy if we learned even tonight, even later tonight, that he's in the club. Do you think that Puerta will come to Olympiacos? As much as this may shock some people, yes, I do. I think that the longer Gustavo Puerta isn't signing for a top 5 side, the chances of him coming to Olympiacos are bigger and bigger. I know reports earlier today said that Olympiacos are withdrawing from Gustavo Puerta, but I still wouldn't be surprised if he signed. I really wouldn't be surprised if he signed. I want Puerta to sign. I would have preferred Cáceres. I've said that openly. But since we lost out on Cáceres, I think Puerta is the best option as things stand. And I do think that there is still a big chance that he comes to Olympiacos. And the other player, the other midfielder that I do really want to see at Olympiacos is a name that perhaps some of you haven't heard in a minute, and that is Union Saint-Gilloise midfielder Adem Zorgan. In my eyes, the Algerian is a perfect player. He is very Ibora-ish. He doesn't have the experience, but he does remind me a lot of Ibora, a very physical player, good passer, an insane physical presence in the midfield, high durability, technical agility, vision, and perfect timing on passes. He is really that Ibora profile that Olympiacos needs, and I would love to bring him in. That is a question that I love and thank you, because I was going to talk about it last show, but again, didn't, because I missed most of it because of connection issues. Mehdi Taremi has left for UAE side Al Wasl. Incredible stint at Olympiacos, football legend. But as I said, he didn't fit here. He never fit here. He did have some insane performances because, again, we are talking about a football legend, but it was the best for him to go. I'm just shocked he left Europe. I really didn't expect Mehdi Taremi to leave European football. I thought he'd go to Lille, to be honest. I thought he'd go to Lille. I didn't think he'd go to Dubai. And the detail to put on to this news that we didn't, last show that Gav didn't, is that the transfer looks to be around 2.5 million euros, which is a clear profit of 1.5 million for Olympiacos, which is very good, which is very, very good. Now, a new rumor that a lot of our new Mexican friends have been both excited and not so excited about, because I have talked to a lot of people, whether close to me or that have just seen my post, and I have gotten some very divisive opinions in regards to him. I am, of course, talking about Mexico's captain, Edson Alvarez. Edson Alvarez is someone that we've been linked to since this morning in attempts to hijack the deal between Real Sociedad and West Ham we have sent in a loan offer as far as the latest reports have said. I really don't have to say a lot for Edson Alvarez. This man is an elite ball-winning midfielder. He is incredible defensively. He's a monster defensively. He averages 90 to 93% passing accuracy. He has an incredibly high volume of 5.92 interceptions per 90 minutes. Isn't what rumor fake? Edson Alvarez? No. No. Nikos Kotsis himself reported on it, said that we have indeed made an offer for Edson Alvarez. And honestly, I still am positive on this move. I am indeed quite positive on it happening from what I've heard, from what I've been told. And will it happen? I don't know, honestly. I am pulling up an article from AS, the famous site, the famous website, the famous newspaper. I thought it was fake. I hope it happens. I love him. Yeah, you kind of you threw me off. I was like, is it? Have I reported wrong? But no. This rumor is gonna happen. And as the article says, Olympiacos pushes to land Edson Alvarez as West Ham away offers. Olympiacos is doubling down on its plan to bring more Mexican talent to Greece just days after unveiling Armando Hormiga Gonzalez. The club has now set its sights on another major figure of Mexican football in Edson Alvarez. At 28, Alvarez has become one of Olympiacos' top targets according to several European reports. The club has moved away from searching for a creative number 8 and is instead prioritizing a defensive, physically dominant midfielder. I will throw in an asterisk because in my eyes, Edson screams replacement. I don't think we are just going for Edson Alvarez and no other midfielder. In the back of my mind, I have the fact that someone is very well on his way out, and that's why we are pursuing Edson Alvarez. I don't think it has to do with Puerta. I don't think it has to do with Zorgan and so on and so forth. I think this is a different case. I may very well be wrong, but I think this is a different case completely. And as the tweet I mentioned from Nikos Kotsis said, the captain of the Mexican football team, Edson Alvarez, is in the sights of Olympiacos FC for the midfield. West Ham have an agreement with Real Sociedad for the sale of the 28-year-old, but the case is very much open and Olympiacos has officially offered a loan deal to West Ham, and that loan deal will be valued at about 1.9 million. And the Greek side is said to be having positive conversation with Alvarez's camp, fueling optimism. Despite, of course, the preliminary agreement with Real Sociedad for a permanent transfer, the proposal from Olympiacos is throwing a wrench in the plans of West Ham. Again, I really don't know if it's going to happen. And as I was saying, honestly, I've seen a lot of conflicting reports. I've seen quite a few conflicting reports in regards to Edson Alvarez. Some have said that he is amazing. Some have said that while he will bring a lot to the team, especially leadership-wise, it will also help Armando Gonzalez adapt, which is also something to keep in mind. But I have also heard that it's a move that won't give a lot to the team. And I have also heard that this man's selfish. But given the parameter that the selfish and words that I can't say on YouTube, especially a word that will get me banned and starts with the letter C, uh, came from a Fenerbahce fan. So I don't think it's that credible, but we'll see. He's a really good player and I think a big name player for Greece. I wouldn't just really go out and say that it's a big name for Greece. I would say that it's a perfectly fine name for Olympiacos, for the standards that Olympiacos holds. And I would honestly say that I am happy if we go on and bring in Edson Alvarez, and I will keep doing my research again with the amazing people that have skyrocketed the show and know much more about Mexican football than I do. We are talking about a man that's also dominant in the air, winning over 70% of his aerial duels on average, making him one of the most aerially dominant midfielders in modern football. And this man has some disciplinary issues, having 24 yellows and 2 reds in his 73 initial appearances for West Ham. And as someone told me, in Mexico, they call him Mexico's reliable yellow card. So that's something to keep in mind as well. He's a shield. He's a barrier of a player. He's a barrier of a player. He excels at disrupting transition, breaking up counterattacks, and protecting the back line. Naturally a defensive midfielder, he does also drop within the defenders when needed, playing centre back. He is standing at 6'3", 190 centimeters, which leads to his aerial dominance, and he has incredible pressure resistance. This transfer window is shopping from relegated team. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes that can bring you the best in football. Not just the best deals, but the best players. Because tell me that West Ham right now that did get relegated from the Premier League doesn't beat perhaps the rest of Greek football, maybe a side eye. Because I bet you they beat Pana, and I bet you they beat Pau right now. And I bet you they smash the rest of the league. And Edson Alvarez is still a player that can keep up. Edson Alvarez is still a player that can give a lot to European football. Hence the interest from La Liga, right? Hence the interest from La Liga. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it at all. Now, to focus on an out and an article written by our friends over at Thrylos 7 International, the interest from Krasnodar has been brought up again in regards to Gelson Martins. Ruben Vargas is being pursued by Olympiacos because they want more quality on the wing. That much is clear. Selling Gelson Martins at the same moment will change the logic. Ivan Karpov now reports that Krasnodar have reopened negotiations with Olympiacos for the Portuguese winger. If those talks become serious, Olympiacos will have to decide whether the winger rebuild is intended to upgrade the group or simply replace one established player with another. Gelson started against Atromitos. This is a player central to the coach's plans. His direct running and 1-versus-1 ability continues to give Olympiacos a different weapon, particularly in matches where opponents leave transition spaces. Earlier, Greek reporting had also said Mendilibar preferred to retain Gelson, especially given his usefulness from the right. That makes any sale requiring something. No, I'm sorry, I'll run that back. That makes any sale something requiring a genuinely attractive financial reason rather than simple roster clearing. The comparison between Vargas and Zelson. Vargas is being pursued primarily as a left-sided attacking solution. Zelson is most naturally useful on the right. Signing Vargas and retaining Zelson would therefore improve both sides of the attack simultaneously. Selling Zelson and acquiring Vargas might increase quality in one area while reducing depth in another. Olympiacos should not automatically treat the transfers as connected one for one. That's why I think that if Zelson goes, Olympiacos moves for two wingers. I think that if Zelson goes, Olympiacos moves for Ruben Vargas and one more winger. Age makes a sale worth considering. Zelson is 31. If Krasnodar eventually return with a meaningful fee, Olympiacos have to consider the asset cycle. Mind you, that meaningful fee should be around 5 million euros. This may be one of the final windows where a club is prepared to pay significant money for Zelson. Selling at the right number could be rational if Olympiacos have a clear replacement and believe younger players such as Roca or Sa can absorb more minutes. But as I said before, 4 to 5 million euros, the territory previously reported was not enough to persuade Olympiacos in June. So we are talking about 5 million plus, which is possible still for Zelson. There is also a competitive window issue. The domestic season has started. Vargas is not signed. Olympiacos cannot afford to sell a starting winger on the assumption that another deal will definitely close. The sequencing should be critical. If Vargas or another high-level winger is completed first, Olympiacos have more freedom. If not, moving Zelson risks reducing Mendilibar's immediate attacking options during an already chaotic understatement integration period. Krasnodar persisting, even after being rejected, makes their interest genuine. I think it can very well happen. And again, I do believe that if it does happen, we are going to look at Olympiacos going for two wingers. If Olympiacos does move for two, if Zelson leaves, what do you want to see from a new player? I'll get to that because I have an example or two. And both examples have been mentioned before. Both examples have been talked about, and reportedly, if the reports by Nikolakopoulos are to be believed, we've made an offer for one. I'll start with the one for which I would want to mention last time, but again, couldn't. And that is Ilan Kabal. I'm still trying to learn how to pronounce that name. The 28-year-old Algerian international who plays as a right winger or attacking midfielder for Paris FC in France's Ligue 1. Known as a creative spark and a late bloomer, he has recently attracted significant interest from clubs like Olympique de Marseille and Olympiacos. This man had a breakout performance, a completely breakout performance in the 25-26 season, scoring 9, assisting 4, having 87% passing accuracy, having 42 chances created, 60 total in all competitions, meaning in just 29 appearances. In his most recent league match on August 22nd against Troyes, he played a full 90 minutes, logging 2 shots, 57 passes, and 2 corners. We are talking about a man that has elite creative vision. He functions as a playmaker, creating 42 to 60 distinct goal-scoring chances per season from open play and set pieces. Something that Olympiacos needs. Creative help. He is very efficient in tight spaces, standing at just 169 centimeters. His low center of gravity and high agility allow him to manipulate defenders and escape high pressing lines easily. His ball progression is very good. He heavily drives his team forward using high volume progressive carries, 141 specifically in 25-26, and smart diagonal through ball. He is a goal threat. He has another thing that Olympiacos is missing. He has a very dangerous long range shooting capability, notably, as an example, scoring a 30-meter strike against Marseille alongside a clinical penalty record. He is another set piece specialist entrusted with taking corners and free kicks, providing high accurate crossing volumes into the penalty box. We need another one like Fortounis in this situation. We really honestly do. The negativities, the weaknesses that I would point out in regards to Cabal are, of course, because when you are efficient in tight spaces, you are also very highly vulnerable in physical duels, because this man is 5'7". He is 169 centimeters. He is a very high risk, high reward player creatively. He tends to lose the ball a lot when stuff doesn't go his way. And opposing managers really frequently double or triple team him, and he occasionally struggles to impact matches when he's that pressured. That is one of the players. The second player is a player which, again, I'm trying to learn the name of slowly but surely. Junior Cadil, the 23-year-old French professional forward/midfielder, is currently playing for Servette. Following his mid-season loan switch from Almer City FC, he enjoyed the breakout campaign with high-level production in Switzerland. In 13 games in the Swiss Super League, he scored 6 and assisted 10. He had 16 goal contributions in 13 games, which is insane. His advanced metrics for Servette are 23 total shots, 19 shots on target, which is an extremely high accuracy ratio, and an average rating of 7.97. His positives, as we said in the first sentence regarding the player, he is an elite playmaker and he has incredible vision. He is an exceptional creator from wide areas, registering 10 assists in just 13 appearances for Servette. He is a clinical finisher, hitting 19 of his 23 total shots on target. His non-penalty expected goals metrics rank him in the elite percentiles for wingers. He is on an incredible form. He's a highly clutch player, with a good example being a 3-assist game against Winterthur and a 2-goal performance against FC Zurich. And again, versatile. Like Jota Silva, he can play as a natural winger. He drops deeper into an advanced midfielder, or he's even played as a forward. His negatives are really his passing consistency. His base passing accuracy is a bit off despite the nearly perfect final passes. His ball retention is a bit inconsistent, and crossing is his weak point. But he makes up for it with everything else that we said, honestly. He makes up for it in many dangerous ways. He makes up for it in many attacking ways and in effective ways. And what is the most important thing in regards to a player like Kadil is the fact that it is a player that can create his own game, can take it upon himself to take action when needed. And we are talking about a player that can take responsibilities, if that makes sense. We are talking about a player that can honestly create his own chances, create his own game. And we are talking about someone that will massively help if he comes in. There is not a singular doubt in my mind. And again, if reports by Kostas Nikolakopoulos are to be believed, we have made an offer for the player. And if my mind doesn't fool me, it's an offer around 8 million. So we'll see. One question, do we have something new for Ruben Vargas? We talked about Ruben Vargas a bit ago. The news is where it stood that it's a player that's for sale. He's not featured in the Sevilla squad, and Olympiacos have reportedly put out the better offer for the player. For me, I prefer the other guy rather than Kadil. I hope I said it right. You mean Cabal? Honestly, I hope the analysis gave you some light on both players. I will respectfully disagree. I think Kadil is the better player here. But either or, both very different cases, both very good and quality cases. I would be happy with either. That's it for Olympiacos FC, but we still have a lot to talk about. First things first, I want to give my shout out to Konstantinos Tzolakis, who in his debut for a relegation favorite Holy City had an insane game after Hull beat Manchester United 2-0. He had 6 saves, kept a clean sheet. He had 46 passes. His passing accuracy stood at 41%. He had 1 clearance as well. 2 of the saves, of course, were from 1-on-1 chances, which is something to be very, very, very mindful of. The ability for Konstantinos Tzolakis to stop even a track going at him. And honestly, Hull looked very impressive. And I'm very, very happy for Joel. Now, we were meant to talk about this last show, but God did a lot happen last show, and God did that stop us. This man has caused a lot of issues. This man has completely changed the trajectory of how Olympiacos fans remember him. And despite Olympiacos doing their best to not take it to the extremes, Thomas Walkup has taken it to the extremes, and now it's a legal battle. The core conflict of the whole thing, for those of you that aren't keeping up, is the fact that Thomas Walkup had contact, seemingly offered himself to Dubai, who offered him back a 2-year, 6 million gross contract. Olympiacos maintained the position that Walkup's contract, rightfully so, is fully valid until June 2027 with no exit or buyout clause. And with the offer of Dubai, Olympiacos came back with a valuation of 3 million for the player. Thomas woke up in a very ridiculous matter, has bypassed his own agency who advised against direct confrontation and hired an independent Italian attorney who Olympiacos fear that behind that attorney is Dubai. The attorney filed an appeal with the Basketball Arbitral Tribunal, or BAT for short, which is basically CAS, the equivalent in football terms, to force a contract termination, citing a bizarre and a ridiculous €9,000 financial deduction dispute as a legal leverage point. So, to take it chronologically, in July, Dubai makes an official contract offer. Olympiacos just rejects any buyout because they were max 900,000. In August 18th, woke up sends a written notice unilaterally and without cause terminating his contract. Olympiacos rejects the notice and threatens legal action. Woke up fails to report for mandatory pre-season medical and physical tests. Olympiacos officially opens internal disciplinary proceedings. Woke up appeals to BAT. Olympiacos files a tampering complaint to the EuroLeague and Dubai denies responsibility, basically throwing the player under the bus. I said this publicly on the socials and I'll say it again. Hang his contract in the rafters. Keep him out for a year and then see what happens. That's all I'll say. Woke up had the chance to be remembered as a hero, and now he'll be remembered as a virus. Which is sad, honestly, because I think all of us love Thomas Woke up. We loved our Texan from Camilla. And while this doesn't take away what he's given, he sadly proved himself to be fake and very much an a-hole. So just hang his contract in the rafters and make an example out of him. That's what needs to happen right now. Nothing less, sadly, again. In regards to the topic we said before with Tzolakis, I watched the game, enjoyed it, and that saved the Jersey Buemo was Seth's kiss. It was perfect. It was perfect, as Homelander said. And closing off, a great show. I appreciate your company, and I hope you all appreciate what we talked about today, and I hope a lot of thoughts were cleared. Olympiacos women's football team have signed their second foreigner ever in Astrid Larsson, a Swedish forward who was playing for AEK last. So she already has massive experience from the Alpha FMG. She has 135 plus professional appearances, over 2,300 minutes played across top flight leagues. She has 7 goals recorded in primary European database profiles. She's just had 1 yellow in her career. And she has logged a perfect 90 average minutes during her peak starting cycles in Sweden. She has elite tactical experience. She has exceptional discipline, high availability, because again, the phrase is the best ability is availability. She has experience in the Greek league, having spent a year with AEK. She has high pedigree. She's a legend, and she will help our women's football team in ways we perhaps don't even understand yet. I wanted to thank you all because after last show, I was worried. I was quite worried, but today's show went very well. I hope, truly and wholeheartedly hope, you all enjoyed, and we will see you all very soon. Within the week, surely I won't go a week without the show to catch up to all news, to catch up to the draw of the Europa League. And I hope you all have a good rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching this. And I appreciate you insanely. As always, thank you.